France 24's Jessica Le Masurier is covering the UN General Assembly for us from New York. She joins us now live from there. Jessica, this is a very different UNGA this time around. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. Normally, the UN General Assembly is the biggest diplomatic event of the year, but this year it'll certainly be bilaterals because there will be no in-person meetings on the sidelines of leaders' speeches, because all of those speeches have been pre-recorded. World leaders will also not be able to respond to what other world leaders say in their speeches because it's all pre-recorded, so it's going to be very strange. This is the first ever virtual United Nations General Assembly. And although I suppose it's not entirely virtual, it is a hybrid. There will be ambassadors in the General Assembly Hall. It will be significantly emptier than on normal years. And we will miss out really on that human contact that is so desperately needed for diplomacy to be effective in fixing the world's problems. And right now, the UN Secretary General says that we are facing desperate times. We expect him in his speech to the General Assembly this Tuesday morning to really paint a dire picture of the state of the world and call for world leaders to get together and do more to try to work on multilateralism and resolve these problems, in particular tackle the coronavirus pandemic. There will be a lot of events on that over the course of this high-level week, but of course they'll mainly be conducted via Zoom.
Jessica, you mentioned that multilateralism, it's the theme of the UNGA this week. One of today's big speakers, of course, U.S. President Donald Trump, not particularly known for his multilateralism. What can we expect from his speech?
Well, almost up until the last moment, we thought he might end up turning up here in New York, but it seems that will not be the case. He has said that he's already pre-recorded his message, and we expect him to come out very strong on China, to be very critical of China and to blame China almost for the coronavirus pandemic. The US has already pulled out of the WHO over what it perceives to be its close connections with China, and has pulled out of a whole other host of UN deals and organisations, including the Iran deal, which now it's trying to say that technically it is still in because it wants to reimpose sanctions on Iran. We can expect Donald Trump to talk about that and to perhaps threaten countries that do not reimpose the sanctions that it has unilaterally put back in place on Iran. Other world powers here at the UN say, well, the US can't do that because it pulled out of the Iran deal 2 years ago. We can also expect Trump in many ways to try and target a domestic audience. We're only 6 weeks away from the election here in the United States, so perhaps we can expect him to talk about the dangers of socialism and that sort of thing. It'll be interesting to see if he actually names Joe Biden. It seems unlikely. That would not really be fitting with UN etiquette. But then Donald Trump is no ordinary president. He's always full of surprises.
Jessica, thank you for that. Jessica Le Masurier reporting for us from that first ever virtual UN General Assembly in New York.